Yes, you join us again for the Next Gen Racing weekend preview. But before we get stuck into the weekend preview, big announcement. Goodwood is just around the corner and we are going to have a really special preview. Rather than having just two separate videos that are pre-recorded, we are going live on Sunday, the 30th of July, 6:30 p.m. Jack and I'll be live on the YouTube channel and also on the Next Gen Racing Twitter page. Your chance, we're going to be together, probably outdoors if the weather's nice enough, but we're going to be together talking through the races from day 1 all the way up to day 5. There'll be a 15-minute gap in between. That'll be your chance to get a few questions in for us. We'll be answering a few questions live as well. So it's going to be a really fantastic preview. Do not miss it. 6:30 next Sunday, we will be live on the Next Gen Racing YouTube and Twitter page. So really looking forward to that. Jack, Goodwood's just around the corner. I think what's special for us is that it's just our local track and something that we've just been really close to, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's always been one of our, if not our favourite week of the year. Plenty of top class racing. I think it's got a perfect place in the calendar as well. I mean, looking at the Nassau and the Sussex, hopefully there'll be good races. I know Nostrum isn't going to run in the Sussex, but hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 from each, being able to make them both good contests. I mean, we have the duel on the Downs every so often. We might be able to see that with Paddington and Spiral, hopefully in the Sussex. But it's shaping up to be a brilliant festival. I know it's probably a little bit too diluted. They could streamline it down to 4 days if they want to, but it's 5 days of sun, strawberries, and some top class racing.
That's it, top class racing, some really competitive handicaps that week to get stuck into. So looking forward to that. Jack and I'll be studying the racing all of next week, hoping to find you some winners for the big week in the first week of August. Now let's get in to the racing for this weekend. Jack and I are going to be covering a load of different action. We've got flat racing at Newbury, we've got jumps racing at Market Rasen, and then we've got classic action over at the Curragh with the Irish Oaks. But the Newbury is where we are going to start, and we start off with the 150 on Saturday, which is the 10 furlong Bet 365 Stakes. This is registered as the Steventon Stakes. It's a listed contest, and Al Assi tops the betting at 11-8. Highland Avenue 7-2. Epic Poet 7-1. Phantom Flight is 11-1. Dancing Magic 14-1, and Oviedo is 25-1, the outsider of the field. I'll go first on this one, Jack. I mean, Al Assi is going to be an interesting one because we're looking at seeing this horse probably just bounce back from having the run at Newmarket just over a week ago now, and I'm just not overly sure that 11-8 is that great a prize about this horse. I'd expect him to be a little bit bigger than what he is. I know this is a listed contest. I know it's probably not as strong as the race that he ran in last time, but there is a horse that really fascinates me, and I've been fascinated by this horse ever since changing yards. And if you look at the form, it just says non-runner on the 2 times that this horse was going to run. It's Epic Poet for the Freddie and Martin Mead stable. Now, this horse here, it hasn't run for the stable yet, but it's come over from Jean-Claude Rouget, and we know how good Rouget is as a trainer, but look at this horse's form. This horse is ever so consistent. I mean, this horse actually won, I think it was the Prix Pellias, which is at Compiègne, which is a listed contest last season, but has only been outside the frame in listed and Group 3 contests once out of about 6 runs, I think, last season. And I just think that this horse could be a little bit special. I think they think he could be quite smart, and I think they've been protecting him a little bit and making sure the ground's right. I think the ground could be perfect this weekend. I think we're looking at good ground. I don't think there's any rain scheduled to come. I think the distance is absolutely fine. I just have a few question marks over at Al Assi, so I don't know, maybe this could be a play without the favourite in here, but 7-1 I think is a fantastic each way price, even though you can only get it at the 2 place in here. But yeah, 7-1, Oisin Murphy on board. I think Epic Poet is going to run a mighty race this weekend. Jack, what about yourself?
Yeah, Al Alsi, it seems like he kind of has a seasonal reappearance once a year and then goes for his something either goes wrong or he goes through his holiday. Of course, he ran in the Champions Stakes, was 15 lengths, I think it was, behind Sealaway, then went and won at Ascot last year. Has to bounce back from that run in the Fred Archer at Newmarket last time out. I don't think you can put too much faith in him. If you're looking in the without market or you're looking to take him on, I think that's probably the way to go. Highland Avenue ran a decent enough race in the Wolferton. I always find the Wolferton's quite a hard race to judge year after year. It is a proper listed contest, but you have a proper mixture of those who are going to run in those handicaps off top weight and those who are probably going to sneak into Group 3 company. I don't usually think they go on too much further from there. Epic Poet is very interesting, of course, was a non-runner at Goodwood for a vet certificate, but I wouldn't be surprised because that's because Francesco Clementi was in the same race, so I wouldn't be surprised if the owners didn't want two in the same race. It's a very interesting race. The one I actually think could be a tad overpriced is Dancing Magic, who was 8th in the Hampton Court, only beaten 4.5 lengths, had to come all the way around the houses that day, was staying on at the line. He's 14-1. Sean Levy's on board. Of course, he's only a 3-year-old as well, so he gets a handy allowance. I'm always somewhat tentative about the 3-year-olds stepping up against their elders, but hopefully with Sean Levy on board, who hasn't been on board actually. I don't think ever, maybe for a while on Dancing Magic, but he was a somewhat lackluster 10th in the Dante, but they clearly think a lot of him. He's been running in group company. This is probably a drop into slightly calmer waters. It's hard to judge as he is up against his elders, but he was only 3 lengths behind Indestructible at Newmarket as well in the Craven. So I think he is actually one it could even be the one to finish second to Al-Arsi, so I'll probably be looking without market, and also a nice little win bet on Dancing Magic at 14-1.
Yeah, I think Jack and I played in the race in the same way, playing a horse against the favourite, but also playing a horse without the favourite in the market. Jack with Dancing Magic and me with Epic Poet in the 150 on Saturday. Let's move on then to the 3 o'clock, which is the Hackwood Stakes 6 furlong Group 3 contest, an open-looking sprint. This and Comanche Falls tops the market along with Lazoo at 9-2. Rohan is 8-1. Anaf and Gareth are 9-1, 10-1 about Cold Case and Mitt Bahi, and 11-1 Bar These. Oh, this is going to be a good little sprint, Jack. Not a high quality contest, but it's definitely open.
Yeah, it is very open, isn't it? Look, Comanche Falls is the favourite in a Group 3 again. Goodness me, who would have thought? Look, his win at the Curragh was pretty impressive, but look, he's there to be shot at 9-2, isn't he? Lazoo, I did fancy her actually for the Commonwealth Cup, showed no kind of race whatsoever after finishing a respectable 8th in the 1,000 Guineas in what I thought conditions were completely against her. But look, she was beaten 9 lengths by Shaquille on the day. Rohan's on at Ascot, you can count him out. Anaf's one of those who's consistent, I'd say, whether it was at Sandown or at Ascot in the King's Stand when you finished a respectable 3rd, let's not forget. But the one for me, I think Mitt Bahi, he's absolutely teed up for this, the 4-year-old. I mean, he was by no means disgraced when 8th in the King's Stand. He was staying on that day. He was more plugging on, I'd say, but it was actually his run at Haydock in the Temple Stakes back in the 28th of May when he was drawn completely on the wrong side. Was only beaten 4.5 lengths by Dramatise, but the first 3 home were drawn out at 10, 13 and 14 on the near stand, on the stand side, and even existent in 4th was from 11, and he was from stall 3. He had to come really wide, completely not where he wanted to be whatsoever. I think the step up to 6 furlongs will actually suit him. He hasn't really been tried over 6 furlongs. He's still a little bit unexposed over 6, and somehow I think he's a double figure price. I think that's actually a cracking price. I think Mitt Bahi at a double figure price each way is the way to go.
This is slowly sounding like it could be one of your bets of the weekend, Jack, and I'm actually going to kind of match this and say that my bet of the weekend comes in here as well, and I cannot believe that Cold Case is a double figure price in here at 10-1. I really cannot. I'm a big fan of this horse, a 3-year-old for Carl Burke, and actually was there at Ascot on Royal Ascot Trials Day when this horse won, beat the XO and actually beat Bradsell, who went on to win the King's Stand Stakes. Now, since then has run in the Sandy Lane at Haydock, where this horse was beaten by Little Big Bear and convincingly beaten, but that was on really fast going. I'm not sure this horse wants any fast going. You look back at his form and he likes a little bit of dig in the ground. We've currently got good ground at Newbury with showers potentially scheduled. I think if a little bit of juice came down, I think this horse is going to be absolutely perfect for this race. I really do. I think the form of Bradsell, who went and won that King's Stand, I just think he's a really quality horse. I actually was expecting to see him run in the July Cup and run at a big price, and I would have backed him at a massive price in that as well. I think he has a lot of quality, Cold Case. Clifford Lee's on board. I'm a big fan of Clifford Lee. I think he's a superb jockey. I think 10-1 is an outrageously good price. I think it's such an open contest, but I think Cold Case as a 3-year-old could really show that he's stepping up to be a classy sprinter. So Cold Case for me at 10-1 and Mitt Bahi for Jack at 10-1 in the Hackwood Stakes. Final race we look at from Newbury then. This is a really interesting contest, which is the Weatherby Super Sprint Stakes. 5 furlongs here. And oh my word, Relief Rally 13-8, Bobsleigh 6-1, Juniper Berry 6-1, Son of Corballis is 15-2, World of Darcy 14-1, 20-1 about Beanham, 20-1 about Plenty, to be honest. Jack, this race is, oh God, I mean, if you're looking away from the favourite in Relief Rally, who obviously ran a cracker in the Queen Mary, it's tough to pick a winner.
Yeah. To be fair, I see a few people have said she should probably be a bit short, so I'm not too sure I agree with that. Yeah, she was ahead before the line. She was ahead after the line. She should have won. She should still be unbeaten. But I think she's there again to be shot at 13-8. She probably is a decent group performer. But I think bobsleigh's actually the way to go. It's 6-1. He's a massive price compared to Relief Rally. He, of course, won beating Ballon d'Or at Epsom, but he was a respectable sixth in the Coventry. And if you look at the form already, Buccaneer Fuerte's gone and run in the Group 2 at the Curragh. Hartem ran a decent race, was 3 lengths clear of Odyssey back in third, behind City of Troy. Watch My Tracers come out and dotted up odds on since. It's really, the Coventry year after year seems to be the juvenile group race to look for going forward. I think River Tiber's a classy 2-year-old. I know City of Troy, with the recency bias everyone thinks he's miles ahead of River Tiber. I'm not so sure. I think River Tiber's definitely in the top 2 at Ballydor. I think he's probably only a couple of pounds behind City of Troy. If I'm being honest, if you take away that recency bias, I think he looked pretty classy in the Coventry, if I'm being honest. And I think bobsleigh's a decent Eve Johnson horse as a sprinter. She likes the super sprint, and hopefully bobsleigh, if he doesn't win, I think 6-1 each way is a good price.
I completely agree with you. That's the way that I've swung here. I think bobsleigh, I mean, you've taken the words out of my mouth with regards to the Coventry form, but it is outrageously good. Relief Rally, look, we don't know sort of how much more improvement Relief Rally has to come as a 2-year-old, but bobsleigh, I just think if you just look back at that form, that Coventry, it is outrageous. And 6-1, this all should not be that far away from Relief Rally in the betting. Should be more of kind of, if Relief Rally's a 13-8 shot, this all should be sort of 5-2, 3-1 at biggest. So I think that horse is definitely the way to play this race. The one that is interesting in here, and Jack and I do know this horse well, is Beanham for the Rob Millman yard, who actually won at Goodwood in really impressive style. Since been beaten in fairly decisive fashion at York, but the ground was good to firm that day. It was actually good to soft at Goodwood, where this horse really got his toe in and really showed how quality he could be. And Oisin Murphy was on board that day. He's back on board here at 20-1. And when I spoke to James Millman, who obviously assistant trainer to Rod, he said that the super sprint would be kind of the main aim. He thinks the owner would like to go to the super sprint, and I think 20-1 could be far too big. I think the stable are very shrewd, very well placing their horses. I think 20-1 about Beanham may be too big, especially if we do get a little bit of rain come. Right, let's move away from a bit of flat action. It's been a while since we've done this. Let's move into a little bit of jumps action, shall we? At Market Rasen for the 3:15, the 2 miles, 6 furlong Unibet Summer Plate handicap chase, and Frankie de Burley tops the market at 6-1. Lad Dominao is 13-2. Cortland 8-1. Glory Dafan is 8-1. Born Famous 10-1. And then 12-1 and bigger the rest. Way too early sometimes for some of these names. I actually haven't got an opinion on this race, and that's not because everyone's going to go, Sam, you just really don't like jumps racing. I do like jumps racing. I've just been focused on the flat for this weekend moving forward until we kind of get to the back end of August. But Jack will definitely have an opinion on the summer plate. Jack, who do you like?
Oh, I love this race, Sam. I absolutely love the summer race. It's no, I think you've done pretty well with Lad Domanil. And Gloire Dafon, I think.
Usually my French is pretty good, to be fair, isn't it? So it's a little bit surprising that I struggled there.
Usually love the French pronunciations, but yeah, this is an absolute cracking race, isn't it? You got Frankie de Burley, who comes on a hat-trick of £1 higher than last time out. Le Domaniel was second in this last year. Cortland comes on the hope for a 4-timer. Oh, it's an absolute stonking race. I love this. Frankie de Burley, look, if he goes and wins this, it'd be some piece of planning. He's run over cross-country fences at Cheltenham in January, and then went to Aintree for the Grand National, then came here for the Summer Plate trial behind And the New, and he's kind of just fall back to a respectable market. But look, it would be some training performance if he was going to go and win this again. La Domaniel never really warmed to all that much. Beat Jemima P by a length and a half at Aintree last time out. Jemima P's a decent enough mare, but I'm not too sure how strong that piece of form is. I've actually got 2 in this. One is Cortland, who won here last time out over the course and distance with Sean Bowen on board. The only slight worry I'd have is there's quite a bit of rain due. So if we do have soft in the ground, it turns into a real stamina test. I don't really think that will suit him. He kind of showed almost a good turn of foot. He travelled well, jumped well, and showed a decent turn of foot with Sean Bowen on board. Sean Bowen's obviously jumped ship to go back to Frankie de Burley, which I don't think's too bad with Gavin Sheehan on board. And the second one is actually the one who I put up in the Summer Plate trial, who I actually really fancied that day, and it's Fix It All. Richie McLernan and Neil Mulholland. Richie McLernan on board was second in the Summer Plate trial behind And the New. He's a great jumper, and I did think he was actually coming there with a winning run at one point. But look, he didn't really find all that much, I think it's fair to say. And the New, the 12-year-old, has been put up, I think, £10 for that. And Fix It All, he's as consistent as they come. Was second to Paloma Blue in Hunter's Chase on his penultimate run at Cheltenham. Paloma Blue is rated, I think, in the high 130s, I want to say, 138 over fences. So I still think he's actually probably well handicapped. He's had a really odd campaign. He went over to France, came over here, straight over fences. I still think he's a little bit unexposed, and he may not even be caught up by the handicapper. He's up £2 for that run in the Summer Plate trial, but he's 14-1. So for me, Fix It All of 14-1 and Cortland 8-1 will be where I'm looking in the Summer Plate.
There we go. Summer Plate selections there from Jack.
I saw you zone out during that.
Do you know what I was doing? I was just having a look because we are going to be covering free race from the Curragh. I was just checking to make sure that the form and the line that I had for a bit of form was actually correct. But I mean, look, if you're providing 8-1 and 14-1 winners of the Summer Plate and Market Rasen, then fair play. Let's hope you can land them. But I'll be focusing on the jumps. Give me a month or so, and then I'll really get my teeth stuck into it. Let's take a trip over the Irish Sea then, shall we, for the big weekend over in Ireland. The Curragh host the Irish Oaks. I'm going to quickly talk about one race. Jack won't be talking about this race, but Jack will be talking about the other two. But I want to talk about the Sapphire Stakes first at 3:10 on Saturday, which is a 5 furlong sprint. There's a Group 2 contest. Art Power's currently top in the market 13-8, but you've got Ladies Church in there at 4-1 for the Murta Yard with more on. You've got Go Athletico, White Lavender. And White Lavender's the way that I think I'm probably going to go in this race, because you look at this horse's form, and I mean, started off at Bath in a race that's actually turned out to be quite good. It's a listed contest. Happy Romance won it, but Perdika was second. Get Ahead was third in that race, and even horses like Designer and Fast Response 4th and 5th. It's not the worst form in the world, but then came out and absolutely flew home at Longchamp in a Group 3 contest, the Prix de Saint-Georges there. And the form of that's worked out really well. Perdika since then came out and won at Chantilly. And the one thing I'd say about White Lavender is this horse, again, will want some soft going. It's currently yielding to soft out there in Ireland. I don't know how much rain they're scheduled to get, but look, Art Power has got a quick turnaround. I know this horse only likes to win at the Curragh. I know it's dangerous taking on Art Power over at the Curragh, but I just think the quick turnaround, I'm willing to take a chance. And White Lavender 6-1. Currently, you can get 3 places, I believe. Yeah, you can.
You're a brave man.
I am, aren't I?
Ninth at Bath, goodness me.
I know. I'd rarely do that as well, but I think White Lavender, I think this horse just took a massive step forward from that run at Bath, and that run at Longchamp was so impressive. And like I say, the form of Perdika, and I think Carl Burke, could be in for a good weekend with some sprinters with Cold Case, and White Lavender might even be a little bit of a sprint double there for the weekend with the Carl Burke stable. The big one then, this will be interesting to hear your opinion. I haven't spoke to you about this all week, so we don't know anything about what we're about to say, but the 3:45 at the Curragh is the big one, the 1.5 mile Jubman Irish Oaks Group 1 contest, obviously for the 3-year-old fillies, and Save the Last Dance tops the market at even money. Warm Heart, the Ribblesdale winner, 4-1. Blue Stocking is 13-2. Lumiere Rock is 9-1. Azazat 14-1, Be Happy 22-1, Cameras 40-1, and Library is the outside of the lot at 80-1. Right, I'll give a little bit of a plug to Only Fools Love Horses and Harry, who said that I'm not sure whether they'll send Save the Last Dance and Warm Heart here. He thinks one of them should have gone for the Nassau Stakes and they would withdraw one, but they've left them both in here, which is fascinating. Jack, is it as simple as just following the market and the jockey booking, or do you think Warm Heart is a fair danger?
No, I think Save the Last Dance is a lot better than this lot. Quite frankly, I think she gave an almighty account to finish second in an Oaks, where there was one thing that I think you needed, and that was a turn of foot. And obviously, when you look at her win at Chester, it was on bottomless ground. She just stayed, and it was a very stamina-laden contest. Epsom wasn't the same. I know Epsom asks a completely different you need a completely different armory of skills at Epsom, but the ground was very quick that day, and it suited Soul Sister to a T. And I do think she'll be able to bounce back here. We got yielding to soft ground at the moment, a lot of rain due also. So I do think Save the Last Dance, this is pretty much teed up for her. Am I going to be backing her at even money? Probably not. Blue Stockings one that I'm really struggling to get my head around. Probably looked the better of the two at Newbury out of Warm Heart, and her on a penultimate start. It kind of plugged on with Frankie on board in the Ribblesdale. Lumiere Rock was back in the second that day. I was really looking for an angle in this race somewhere. I really thought I found one with Curragh, I think that's how you say it, for the Jim Bolger stable, who was third in the Irish 1,000 Guineas. Ran a great race that day, but I think if she wants better ground, it's fair to say. And I think I'm going to be boring. I think Save the Last Dance is going to be on soft ground. Stamina may come to the fore. I'm not sure. Warm Heart, yes, 1/10 on soft to heavy ground at Leopardstown, but I think Save the Last Dance can be able to do it in top company.
Yeah, I think you're completely right with regards to the stamina side of things. You watch that Oaks back, and Carnarvon, who finished third in that race, actually kind of went ahead of Save the Last Dance briefly, but Save the Last Dance showed how kind of much she's a stayer and a battler, and stayed on to finish second, and easily second, and was staying on towards the line really well. So I think you're completely right. I think Warm Heart is a very good horse. It would not shock me at all. It's probably obvious to say if it is the 1-2 in the race. I think Azazat's fascinating. I'm going to tie a bit of form in with Azazat in a second, but I think Azazat's been really consistent this season. I don't know how good she really is, whether she's up to this stage. I don't quite think so. But I think Save Last Dance, one thing I say is the Oaks form has worked out to be okay. Soul Sister's run in the Grand Prix de Paris was very, very good. Adelaide River was second, and Feed the Flame won that race. This was a really good race. Don't think that that's kind of dented the form, because they are two top class horses, those two. And Adelaide River, if I'm allowed to do it now, but just in case the price goes, is I'd actually like to put this horse up at 25-1 for the King George next weekend.
No, not allowed.
Oh, come on. Can we not? What we can do is we can rewind to this clip next week. But I was really impressed with Adelaide River. 25-1 for the King George is far too big next week if this horse turns up. Should be more of a 10-1, 12-1 shot. So,
have you seen the lineup for that King George? I know we're going off on a tangent here. Adelaide River in the first 20 home if there's 8 runners.
Where would Feed the Flame finish?
Fourth.
No, he'd win it. So there, but it's a discussion for next week, maybe. But look, the form of the Oaks still hasn't taken a massive dent. I don't think it was the best Oaks in the world, but I don't think it was the worst. So yeah, I'm with Jack. Be boring. Save the Last Dance to win. See what price the forecast maybe plays with Warm Heart, but it wouldn't be a big bet for me. But looking forward to seeing her back out this weekend. Let's go on to the final race then that we look at, which is the 1 mile 6 furlong Curragh Cup, the International Curragh Cup. And Emily Dickinson, God, how's she 2-1? 2-1 favourite. Ross Carberry 3-1. Akita Sushi is 6-1. Goolagong is 8-1. Yashin is 12-1. 16-1. Bar these. I've been saying this most of the season, Jab, but Emily Dickinson just keeps getting over bet. I really do not see her as a 2-1 shot. I was debating who my best bet of the weekend would be, but I like Ross Carberry. I really like Ross Carberry in here. I think she's a fantastic bet, and for a trainer, Paddy Toomey, who I absolutely love, he's so shrewd, really is. And I know this horse was well beaten in the Pretty Polly Stakes last time, behind Via Sistina, Stay Alert, and Above the Curve, but that was over a mile too. I think that's just the kind of minimum of this horse's trip. This horse wants a fair trip, and a mile 6 is just absolutely perfect. Go and look at the form of this horse. This horse has actually beaten Emily Dickinson at Leopardstown in a Group 3 contest over a mile 6. I just think this horse needs a trip now. Could even go for 2 miles, I think, but a mile 6 I think is this horse's best trip. It's a Group 2 contest. Emily Dickinson, I just have a few question marks over this horse. I just haven't grown to love this horse as of yet. I know they've taught this horse fairly hard. This horse is a stayer trying to take the place of Kyprios, who looks like we're going to be seeing him back at some stage in the next sort of couple of months. But yeah, I can't be taking the 2-1. I think Ross Carberry 3-1 for the Toomey stable. I think Billy Lee's a fantastic jockey. I think this is a really good bet, back up to a mile 6. So Ross Carberry for me. Jack, who for yourself?
It's a tricky race, isn't it? Tricky race. I completely agree with Emily Dickinson. I haven't really been able to warm to her. If you have been laying it this year, I mean, goodness me, you're flying at the moment, aren't you? You can let her go and win here, and you're still up after she got beat by Yashin at 5-2 on. Yeah, look, she's clearly Decent performer. She's hard to get right from my perspective. I don't know when she's going to perform. I actually backed Ross Carberry last time out in the Pretty Polly. I agree with you there. She's very consistent. I think she is actually a touch short at 3-1 personally. Akita Sushi probably won't run. Has been a non-runner on the soft ground recently. Gulu Gong, the Australia colt's quite an interesting one. Full brother to Cayenne Pepper, probably prefer sounder surface. You've got Yashin, Amusement Point King. I was probably going to actually make a little bit of a case for Run for Oscar with Colin Keane on board on the soft ground. If it does turn into a stamina contest, was travelling an absolute dream on that inside rail when beaten by Dawn Rising in the Queen Alexandra. It was third to Dawn Rising. There was travelling an absolute dream. Jim Crowley didn't really get out, got along the rail, stayed on. If it does turn into a stamina contest, I think he's probably got a chance. He was 5th and 6th, beaten by 6 length pretty comprehensively. Enlisted contest over a mile and a half. That was clearly far too sharp for him, and he was 11th in a top class Curragh Cup this year as well, who was won by someone or other. I can't quite remember now who won the Curragh Cup this year. So no, I think he'll be able to handle the soft ground. He definitely has the stamina in his locker. Colin Keane's on board, which is a very eye-catching booking. He's 20-1. Is he a group performer on the flat? Who knows? But we'll find out.
Yeah, Run for Oscar currently 20-1. I mean, if I had asked you the question, where would the Curragh Cup winner have finished in the King George, you'd probably actually tell me it'd win.
Headlamp slang it down, wins the King George, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going next week actually, but yeah, we're gonna have a good discussion about that next weekend. We'll be doing a weekend preview, and like I say, next Sunday we'll be live on the channel with our Goodwood preview. It will almost come in a 2-part episode, but we'll have a 15-minute break in between where you guys can get some questions in. We'll take a little bit of a break, have a drink, and then we'll be back again for the preview of the final 2 days. So really looking forward to the Goodwood preview. All that's left to do is get a nap for this weekend. Like I say, I was choosing between 2, Jack, but I am going to go with... I'll go with the one at a price. I'm going to go with Cold Case in the Hackwood Stakes, the Group 3 contest at 10-1. I think that's a really fair bet, and I'd imagine you might end up taking me on with your nap.
I'm unfortunately taking you on. I think Mitt Barhy's probably one of the best chances at a double figure price I've seen in weeks. I think Mitt Barhy at 10-1 in the same race. He has a great chance.
There we go. So the next gen nap this weekend is the forecast in the Hackwood Stakes with Cold Case and Mitt Barhy this weekend, both 10-1 shots. So let's hope they can go well. You see selections on the screen now for this weekend. They're the horses that Jack and I will be playing this weekend. Like I say, busy week coming up. Next week we have the King George preview. Looking forward to that. We'll probably make it, with the quality of the field, more of just a King George preview. I know you guys want to see more races, but we'll focus on the international stakes, the big handicap there. But we'll also go through kind of a runner-by-runner guide, I'd imagine, for the King George, if it does end up to be as cracking as it looks. As always, do subscribe to the channel. If you do subscribe, you'll then see the live stream come up on your feed. So make sure, if you haven't already, do subscribe so you don't miss out when we do actually go live. Give the video a like, comment down below with your naps, and we will see you again next weekend for our weekend preview. Thanks for watching.